Hello everyone, welcome back to Teaching with Tenia. I am Tenia, of course. If you are a future educator or an educator now and want to know my practicum experience, it may be similar or different to yours, but in this video I'm just explaining how I got through my practicum this semester. So let's get right into the video. Before, if you're a future educator or current educator or going to be an educator, bravo to you. Education is such a tough field, especially with everything that has happened this year and this past year and a half, to be honest. But I am an aspiring elementary education teacher, so I have to take practicum. And if, for those of you guys who don't know, practicum is the semester before you student teach, and some schools count it as student teaching, other schools count it as practicum and then student teaching. So great news to share, I will be student teaching next semester, so this definitely was a stepping stone to that, and getting that experience, I feel like I definitely needed it. So in my practicum experience, before I get started, if you have not checked out my other practicum videos, I vlogged my first day of practicum, and then I gave an update throughout the middle of the semester, and this video is the end of the semester. Now that I've done completely with practicum, I want to let you guys know how my experience was. Practicum was way easier than I thought. My school does a really good job of setting you up throughout your educational journey that you are well prepared and equipped for student teaching. And of course, that doesn't mean you have arrived or that you know everything, but you are prepared to write lessons and be a teacher in the classroom. If you watch my other videos, you know I absolutely love my cooperating teacher. She's been teaching for 20 years at different grade levels, but first grade for 10 years. And so I really looked up to her in the way that her class was so calming. Every time you walked in the mornings, you could just tell the students really respected her, and therefore she didn't have to have that many classroom behavior management problems. But of course, when I taught, it was a little bit of that, but that was good for me to get that experience of how to teach a lesson while commanding a classroom and having classroom management, which is something I do need to work on, because after I've told a student something once, it's like they should listen, but that is not always the case in the classroom. So learning how to teach a lesson and control the classroom is something that I will be honing my skills in on as I student teach, and just classroom management in general. I feel like it's something that you have to keep practicing, because every student's different, every class is different, and depending on the lesson, you may need a different classroom management techniques. So that's one thing I learned. Another thing I learned is to be super flexible, like with teaching in general. Like, it was actually pretty funny. My first day there, I had a fire drill. The last day there, I had a fire drill. And that was just a little sign from God for me. Like, you completed it, here's another fire drill for you. But no, my students were amazing. And actually, it was super fun, because on the last day, I got to build snowflake ornaments with them. And that was so much fun. And just the purity of first grade. And I have a whole new respect for first grade teachers, because my dream grade is third, if you guys didn't know that. But I have a new respect for first grade teachers, because their patience, them learning how to read, listening to good readers, bad readers, average readers, and at the end of the day, just to grow them in that aspect, because you need reading for life, and it's such an important skill. And basically first grade is that, building that foundation. And unfortunately, some of these students did not come from kindergarten and have that foundational aspect. So first grade, have a new respect. And I can't see myself teaching first grade. Of course, I'll do anything that my school needs me to do. But first grade, it was good to know. And a little secret, it's funny how God works, but I'm going to have to do student teaching in my second placement. I'll talk about that in another video. But my second placement for student teaching is in first grade. How pure they were while we were doing those ornaments. It was like a fun activity that the students could take home, and like my last goodbye so I could see them. If you want to know what's happening in a person's house, like first graders just share anything and everything. The kids will tell you everything. It's like we were building ornaments, and just to like, Miss Brown, you're leaving us. Today's your last day. Like, you could tell that they were sad, and you just built that connection with them. And that's my heart and soul behind teaching, is impacting the kids. And I was only there for a semester, like 15 weeks, and just how to build a connection with them was incredible. And they were letting me know that their mom didn't have a Christmas tree, or they had a fake Christmas tree. Mommy was yelling at daddy because he wouldn't chop down a Christmas tree, all this other stuff. But it just shows like they have a good heart and they all mean well. And surprisingly, first graders can do a lot more than I thought they would be able to do. So it was just good to get that experience in the primary, in the lower elementary, because I at least want to teach upper elementary, so we'll see how that goes. As I mentioned before, my cooperative teacher was great. We laid a great foundation at the beginning of the semester about how this would look, or what I'm allowed to do, what I'm not allowed to do. And to be honest, like, she was comfortable with me doing anything. I could do small groups with the kids. I could go help them out on if they're struggling or behind in a certain aspect. She would let me talk to them, help them one-on-ones, and just have somebody to read to. Some students needed that because they don't get it at home. So basically being that other adult in the classroom to interact, have another eye, and do activities that would require a lot more hands-on learning or manipulatives that first graders couldn't handle. So it was good to like piggyback off of each other in that way. And then as far as me teaching lessons, I taught all 3 lessons. For practicum, you have to have 3 lessons taught with your supervisor, your college supervisor, in the room. So I did really good on all of those, and she was like, "You're fine, you're gonna be a great teacher." I'm like, I just am a perfectionist, and I want things to be right, and I want my lessons to be right. And her feedback was like, "You'll be fine, you'll be fine." It did give me the confidence I needed, but I was like, they're gonna critique this lesson, they're gonna pull it all apart, but thank God I did well on those. But looking back over my whole practicum experience, I couldn't have asked for anything better, except for being closer to my school, because I did have to drive like 45 minutes when I had to go to practicum. But overall, it was amazing. At the end of practicum, it was super sweet because it was my last day, and the kids took a picture, and they're like, "Bye, Miss. Bye, we're gonna miss you." Gave me hugs, and I was just like, oh, my heart just melted when the students show their appreciation towards you, because at the end of the day, teaching is hard. And if you, like, of course we don't need reassurance that we're going to be a teacher, but it's nice to know that the kids do reciprocate what you are putting out and pouring into them. So on the last day, they gave me a gift basket. It was super cute, and that was it for my practicum experience. I'll probably never see those kids again, but to know that I made an impact and made a difference, and help them the best way I could, I feel good about leaving practicum. Now, before I close out today's video, I do want to practical tips if you're heading into practicum or your school is requiring you to take practicum. So the first thing is, when you're with your cooperating teacher at the beginning, set that expectation of what you're expected to do and what you're allowed to do. Some teachers, cooperating teachers, they don't want you to like have kids one-on-one or while they're teaching, or have a small group with them. Some teachers are really protective of their classroom, like yeah, of course they built it from scratch or whatever. Some teachers are lenient than others, and of course we don't have our degrees yet, so it's like you don't want to step on any toes. But having that expectation of, okay, I'm in practicum, what do you expect me to do, and then vice versa, what I expect you to do, and just to have that common ground, because if anything like does happen or goes wrong, you can go back to, hey, this is what we talked about, and I'm not doing this, or you said you were going to let me do this, but you're not letting me do this, whether it's a read aloud or whatever. Just be active and be vocal to your cooperating teacher and interactive with the students. That doesn't mean sit on a bump on a log like in the back of the classroom when you don't have to teach with your supervisor, because at the end of the day, you're there to gain as much experience as you can, and students will know if you want to be there or if you don't want to be there. If you're just sitting in the back of the class doing nothing, like, interact with the students, ask them how their day was, and get to know them, which leads me to my second point. It will help you when you are teaching. If I didn't have or built at least the first 2 weeks of relationships with the students, my first lesson would have went terrible, because I didn't know their names, I didn't know what they needed and how to differentiate my lesson plan for that classroom. So get to know your students and where they're at. I wanted to let you know to have an open mind, because practicum experience, it could go good for some people, bad for some people, and I know other education majors that didn't have so good of an experience because that expectation was off, or they weren't in a grade level that they wanted and the teacher was making them do stuff that they weren't comfortable doing, like pushing them in front of the classroom. Like, at the end of the day, if you're not comfortable in front of the class, like, you need to let your professor know that, and maybe, your cooperating teacher know that, and maybe they can like work your way up to like, maybe you teach a small group and then maybe half the class you teach a lesson to, and then move to whole group, because teaching is scary, especially if you don't have that confidence from the classroom yet. So it just depends on your comfortability level, and you should be fine though. Practicum was so much easier than I thought it was going to be, and getting your lessons done early is another tip, because sometimes your cooperating teacher, your supervisor from your school may have other people that they're supervising, so some dates may contradict. But getting your lessons done early, you won't have to worry about it, because later down the semester, in your other classes, you may have a lot of other assignments to do, and you're not focused on giving your all to this lesson in this practicum. That is all that I have for you all today. In this video, my practicum experience went super well, and I'm so excited for student teaching. Be on the lookout for student teaching content, because I definitely am excited, and I'll let you guys know my other placements and get into more details about that. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and comment down below if you are in practicum, or if you're going to be in practicum, or even what your experience was like in practicum. So I'd love to have that conversation with you guys down in the comments, and I'll see you guys in my next video.